The school of hard knocks isn't trying to break you, it's trying to wake you. Hey everyone, welcome to Penny's Mind Files Method, the podcast showing you where the off ramp to the healing highway is when you're stuck on the life sucks road that goes nowhere. In this episode, we're going to take a look at why we get stuck in a life sucks cycle and what to do about it. No one enjoys feeling sad or mad or betrayed. No one likes to be lied to. No one looks forward to heartbreak. Yet, all of these circumstances are a part of our lives. For many of us, the bad things that happen appear to outnumber the good. But if we can look back through those years from a cleansed lens, which is what the Bible means when it talks about being purified, the Bible and other sacred texts actually, then we will see that it was our mind's process that actually reminded us so many times of the hurts that we forgot that there was just periods of contentment or even times that were just uneventful. Like, think about the whole of your life. For most of us, the majority of our days are mundane. We get up, we go to work, we come home, we have supper, we do whatever we do in the evening, we go to bed, and we start over. I mean, that's why everybody looks so forward to the weekend, because then maybe something exciting will happen. Now, of course, there are some days that are more challenging than other ones. Maybe we wake up on the wrong side of the bed and then immediately things just start to go wrong. Maybe we bash our knee on the edge of the bed while we're getting up or the night table or whatever. Maybe we slip in the shower, twist our back. Maybe we spill hot coffee on our shirt and have to change into a new one, but we don't have any pants that match the shirt, so we have to get redressed, and now we're running late. So we run out of the house, we get into the car, start racing down the road, and by the time we get to the freeway, we find ourselves behind all the slow pokes on the road. And now we're running even later. We're frustrated, impatient, and as the minutes tick on, we just get increasingly more angry. See, it's those days when someone says or does something that really hurts our feelings, or we face some kind of adversity where we feel threatened, and then that really sets us off because we're already starting from, right, a low place. And those days stand out because they're rare and because they're emotionally intense. They generate a ton of frustration and anger, which is a ton of energy. And our mind's process spends its time in our fear cabinet, digging out all those files and pulling every single one out that reminds us of a time when something similar happened. And what's happening is we are now sitting in a low vibrating frequency that's drawing more experiences that are going to equal all of those past experiences that really pissed us off. If we don't have the tools or the skills to know how to deal with these kinds of experiences, then they're really intense because in those moments when our life feels out of control, we feel powerless. And there's nothing more terrifying than this kind of vulnerability, especially when you're an adult. Because when you feel as though you're at the mercy of others, and here's the thing, right? Like as an adult, we already know that people aren't nearly as merciful as we were told as children, right? They're actually the opposite because people are fear driven. And fear causes people to react before they think and to defend themselves at all cost. Fear triggers this survival mechanism, and survival and mercy, they don't walk hand in hand. And worse yet, your mind's process reminds you all the time, 24/7, that, well, this is how life is, so suck it up. See, these are the times that stay with us and the experiences than keep us trapped in that dark cycle. For those of us who grew up in high levels of family dysfunction, these kinds of days happen far more often than not because, well, we're unknowingly sending out messages to the universe to bring us more of the same of what we grew up in. And this sets a life pattern for us, a negative feedback loop of shitty life experiences, the roller coaster of yuck. And by midlife, we either start to burn out or we're already burned out. So we look for a way to change our lives, right? We watch a bunch of self help videos like this one. We read some books, and the people selling these life changing books and videos, and remember, this one's free. I'm not selling anything, tells us that it's easy and we want to believe that. So we do. So we do what they tell us. We sign up for yoga so that we can better breathe and reset our vagus nerve. And that's a good thing because our nervous system needs to calm down. And the tools that we learn in those kinds of places are really important ones and they're valuable for us. We either go to the gym or we start walking outside in the sunshine every day because we're told it helps reduce stress and helps us with feelings of frustration and depression. And it does. It's all good. Vitamin D is a good thing. We buy a journal because they tell us that this is a good way to shift our lives, but they don't tell us exactly why we're journaling and why it's good. They might give us journal prompts, but they don't give us a structured way, right? So after a while, however that long that is for you, well, then you quit doing it because there's no improvement. Some of these things, when we're doing them, it feels like our life is on track to shift for the better. And then everything quietly slides back to the way it was before. And then then we're thinking, well, how did I fail? I did everything I was supposed to do. You see, you have no idea what you did wrong. You did everything. And now you're in this like WTF mode because you just cannot figure out why. Why can't things change? So more often than not, our lives get stuck in this never-ending feedback loop of shitty life experiences because we weren't really ready to shift in the first place. We thought we were, and we wanted to be ready, but we weren't ready to put the effort in that it takes to change our lives. Not because we're lazy, but because those old, outdated mind files are just running a program in the back of our minds. In reality, we've trapped ourselves in this negative feedback loop of yuck, and we're living in the dark, and darkness feeds itself until we turn on the light and see what's actually there. So when we can't figure out why and we're frustrated because we've done everything we're supposed to do and nothing's changing, we don't know what else we can do. We don't understand why these painful experiences keep coming our way and why this is always happening to us. That generates more fear and more anger. But when we have the tools, when we understand how and why we found ourselves in those vulnerable positions in the first place, well, then the fear of what if this happens again, it's gone because we've actually learned from those first experiences. But we can't gain the wisdom from our past if we aren't willing to ask why. One of my favorite sayings, and as far as I know, I came up with it because I don't think I heard it anywhere else, is you can't learn the answer to a question that you never ask. People have been cruel to others since the beginning of time, and people have been writing about it since the beginning of time. So we just have to look back and learn from our ancestors and learn from the people who have been there, done that, and wrote about it. They left their messages for us so that we didn't have to learn the hard way. You see, history repeats itself only because we choose not to learn from it. Every generation thinks they're smarter than the previous one. By the time you realize that you're not any smarter than your parents or your grandparents, you've already lived a life that was far more difficult than it had to be. In episode 23, we talked about the Bible being the very first self help book adopted by a lot of people. So I guess you could say it was the first best selling self help book. There's so many places inside the Bible that remind us that we aren't living in times that are so different. It's just that for whatever reason, we've become aware of the cycle. It's not a new problem. Humans have been dealing with fear driven behavior forever. And we can see it in lots of places. So let's look at one psalm, Psalm 139. And it says, Deliver me, O Lord, from the evil man. Rescue me from the unjust man, who have devised iniquities in their hearts. All day long they designed battles. They have sharpened their tongues like a serpent. The venom of asps is under their lips. Keep me, O Lord, from the hand of the wicked and from the unjust man. Deliver me. If you've been following this podcast, you would have already heard me say that the Bible and other sacred texts aren't just words on a page for you to consider. These books are a self help program. The key word here being program. You have to work it consistently. Otherwise, your mind's process just takes over and sinks you back to the bottom of the emotional filter frequency scale. In A Course in Miracles, there's a few lines in the first section of chapter 8, and chapter 8 is entitled The Journey Back. And this is what they say. Knowledge is not the motivation for learning this course. Peace is. And then a little ways down, further down, it says, knowledge can be restored only when you meet its conditions. This is not a bargain made by God, who makes no bargains. It's merely the result of your misuse of his laws on behalf of an imaginary will that is not his. When I first started my healing journey, I thought that if only I'd been smarter, I would have never ended up where I did, which was at the time married to an addict who was just really emotionally abusive all the time. I thought that because I believed the problem was me, right? That belief came from old childhood wounds that I hadn't identified. But once I did and started to review those mind files, I realized it never was me. It was what I had learned to think about myself. That was the problem. So let's walk through a common difficult situation. As an adult, the majority of our difficult situations probably happen to us at work. And that's mainly because we spend way too much time at work. We're there for like what, 9 hours a day? And it could be more. I mean, depending on what your drive time is to work. So if we need to sleep 8 hours, right? Doesn't leave much time for family time and you time, does it? Anyway, so the majority of our difficult situations happen at work or on the way to work. So let's say that the company you work for delivers some kind of service to the general public. Maybe you work in retail or in banking or in the trades. Whatever you do, you have to talk to people all day. So you're speaking with this customer or client, whoever, and no matter what you say, no matter what you try to offer them or say to resolve whatever problem that they think they're having, they're just rude, maybe even condescending, demanding. And whatever it is that they're saying to you is just shocking. You can't believe that this person is behaving the way they are, but the rules at the place that you work say customer is always right. You have to do what they want. Now, anybody who's ever worked in any kind of customer service knows the customer isn't always right. And that belief has created a lot of problems for both the workers and the customers, right? So you're not allowed to put that person in their place. You have no choice but to suck it up because, well, that's your job. Your job is to allow people to mistreat you. So now you're thinking, how in the hell did I end up working for somebody who thinks that this is reasonable? Right? It's guilt and shame driven. And that vibrates at the very, very bottom of the emotional filter frequency scale. So now what do you do? So what do you do? No one ever said that you had to be a doormat. And if you're working for somebody who really does think that that's the way life is, seriously start looking for another job. Don't quit, just start looking because now you've realized that you are working in a place where the culture itself is vibrating at the bottom of the emotional filter frequency scale. It's vibrating in guilt and shame. As soon as you realize that, you're ready to leave there. But in the meantime, you have to figure out what to do. So, how do you deal with people who are incredibly rude? Well, the short answer is there's nothing that you can say that's going to matter anyway. At best, you're going to temporarily cause that person to behave respectfully, maybe. But by the next time that you talk with them and something doesn't go their way, they're just going to behave exactly the same way because that person is sending out information from a low vibrating perspective, right? And those are all related to narratives that say I'm not worthy, so I'm going to blame you ultimately, right? And but you're working in a place that says that because your mind file also is reminding you that you're not worthy of something better than that. So you're both on equal energy. And that equal ground is low feelings of self worth. See, this is why the idea that whatever somebody else says or does doesn't have anything to do with you concept, that's where that comes into play. Because once you realize and really know that, which is just understanding that everybody is operating through the filters attached to the narratives in their own mind files, well, then you start to see things differently. That's a good thing. So when somebody's being incredibly rude, then you can realize, wow, like this person doesn't believe in themselves. And that's why they're attacking me, right? That's why they're blaming me. And once you get that, well, then there's no need to put them in their place, right? You're not defensive because you've worked through the fear files that had to do with your own self worth. And that's why you understand that the person is being rude to you. That's why you understand where they're coming from because you've already looked into yourself and seen all the times that you behaved the same way. So then your response to them might be something like, I'm really sorry that you're upset, and we're going to do whatever we can to rectify the situation. And the key is to try to say that without any anger in your voice. Like, don't give back the anger, respond with understanding and compassion. Okay, so let's look at a different example. Let's say you're driving down the road, and for whatever reason, some other driver decides that you're the problem on the road, starts driving really aggressively. Maybe they're following too close. You start thinking, man, they're going to like ram into the back of me. So you speed up to get away from them, and then they zoom and go in front of you and cut you off. You're like, I have no idea what triggered that person or what I did, Maybe they're under the influence or whatever is the matter. So now you decide, I'm just going to drive slow and let them speed off. But they don't. They stay in front of you, randomly jamming on their brakes. So now you're assuming, well, geez, they're trying to get me to run into the back of them. So what do? Well, you can either keep playing leapfrog, increasing your own stress and your chances of getting in a car accident, or you just turn off the road and go a different way altogether. Now, whichever one of those solutions you decide to do will tell you which mind file your mind's process is referencing in that moment. This is ultimately the key in dealing with difficult situations because you can't change somebody else's behavior. What you can do is change your perception, because perception is what drives your behavior. So learning to identify the mind files that are driving you, right? And then review and reassess them every time that something like that comes up in a day. Well, that's how you work the program. You know how when you say the Lord's Prayer, either in the morning or at night or 20 times a day, whenever you say it, when you're saying, lead me not into temptation, what that means is help me to understand what my motivations are. Because my motivations are detailed in the files in the filing cabinets of my mind. And you only have to be willing to learn that. And then the Holy Spirit will provide you with the answers. All of those hard knocks that happen to us in life, those difficult life situations, they're just super valuable lessons. Thanks for joining me today. I hope you heard something here that can help you help yourself. So please hit that thumbs up because it helps others find this podcast. And don't be afraid to leave a comment. Get in the conversation and let me know what you think. We'll see you next time.